year is 2021, and Libsyn launches the latest podcast on the Borgcast Galactica feed. In a freak mishap, Borgcast Galactica and its hosts, Peter and Anne-Marie, are blown out of their trajectory to re-emerge as Borg Rogers in the 25th century.
And welcome to Borg Rogers 1.20 with Anne-Marie and Peter.
Hello.
Hello. And it's Flight of the Warwich.
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 Yeah. So we have new credits. Well, I say new credits. They're just clips from the pilot added in.
With padding.
Yes, to pad out the episode, basically, because they wanted to make it 2 episodes long. It's written by Rob Gilmer, who wrote Buck's Duel to the Death. And directed by Larry Stewart, his 4th and final Buckisode.
Who are they, Doc?
Draconians. This is an absolutely unforgivable violation on Ardala's part.
The orbit's probably halfway to her cruise ship by now.
Another universe for Ardala to try and dominate.
Yes, but her technicians still have to decode the chip and transfer the information to a computer disk. I'm having the computer disk installed in a starfighter. And Dr. Theopolis' staff is already programming a B-2500 drone to pilot the craft.
You're sending a drone through the vortex?
Yes. Why?
Doc, this is an invitation to us from another universe.
What are you getting at?
Well, this could be the first encounter of peoples from 2 different universes. You can't send a drone, you've got to send a Terran. I'd like to be that Terran, Doc.
So, after an awful lot of guest stars listed during a really shit piece of music, they should have kept the theme tune going. You have a disco ball heading towards Earth, which lands and solidifies. Buck is in his pimped out ride.
It is, isn't it?
Oh, it's all...
It's Ardala's shuttle for starters, which he calls an Earth shuttle. So, blimey, they really do all just buy their ships from...
Ships R Us or something.
Yeah. But it's got silk padded walls and seats.
Yeah. So, yet again, like with that one with Gary Coleman in, it doesn't register on the sensors. Their sensors are a bit shit, aren't they?
Yeah,
really?
never pick anything up, do they?
No. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm looking at it. Hewer thinks it's some kind of hideous surprise from the Draconians because they've been breaking the truce and raiding shipping lines again. But then it's also been spotted by a shuttle pilot. So Wilma and Buck ride the big track.
Yeah, the land ram.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is filmed in Vasquez Rocks, because of course. And the land ram was last seen an escape from Wedded Bliss being used by the Draconians, but now sprayed white with directorate markings and the cannon removed. But at least Wilma and Hewer get to take a trip out on location for a change anyway.
Yeah. Hewer has a holiday.
Yeah, Hewer's holiday.
Yeah. So then the gold ball sort of glows red and produces a ball probe with a ball present.
And a ball gag.
Yeah. And they take the baby ball back to the lab for analysis. And they sort of decide that because it's not a weapon, because whoever it is could already have hurt them by now, it must be a gift of friendship. So they're going to try and split it open with a tone.
Yeah, Sonic Doobie.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it opens and there's a microchip. And then they sort of do the whole enhance, expand type Blade Runner thing.
Yeah, well, at least Hewer gets to use his scientific skills anyway, so that's quite nice. And he has an assistant as well.
And there are cryptographs and binary patternings. A binary... But is binary patterning a thing? I thought binary was just binary.
1s and 0s, so yeah, it's not much of a pattern really, is it? But never mind.
Oh, well. And then the big ball is now going back home.
Yes.
Because it's done its job. And then you've got Ardala's ship, but there's no theme tune. There's no...
And not since the pilot, sadly.
Oh, but I like that tune.
We do get some new shots of it, actually, which is quite nice. They did dust it off and film it from a couple of different angles, but there we go.
And their agent on Earth...
Gonorrhea, yeah.
Yeah, says that the information inside the ball is very precious to the Terrans. Then you find out the Tiger Man has been reassigned.
Yes, alas, poor Tiger Man.
So instead they've got Big Jim Slade.
Big Jim, former tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, is outfitted with various whips, chains, and a sexual appetite that will knock your socks off. Big Jim has satisfied women throughout the world, and the capital of Nebraska is Lincoln.
A.K.A. Panther Man. Yeah, this is Tony Carroll, who played Beastman in Masters of the Universe.
Okay.
Yeah, he sadly died at the age of 41 of a heart attack.
Oh.
Not good for your health, all that working out.
No. So it turns out that the chip is a road map through the vortex to another universe.
Yeah, they say it's what you used to call a black hole, and then they don't call it a black hole for the rest of the story. Possibly because Black Hole, the film, came out a year before. And,
Did it?
Somebody clearly took some inspiration.
Just a little bit, then. So it must be an invitation to visit another universe.
Pendar! Dear.
So then the ball flies home, and a woman enters the control room, and then a man materialises, and then the council materialise.
Okay, so the man is the Keeper, played by Sam Jaff, who was Dr. Hephaestus in Battle Beyond the Stars, and in the original The Day the Earth Stood Still. I've ever seen that. It's really annoying. I'd love to see that, but the TV only ever shows the crap Kino remake, which I'm not going to touch with a barge pole. So it was also in Ben-Hur, 60s Batman, and Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Oh.
Yes. It's an interesting performance.
Yeah.
Quite why a being made of light needs a hearing aid, I do not know.
Yeah, there we are. And then you get the woman who looks like she's got a rattan hair or something.
Are you talking about Tora with the turban?
Yeah,
It's actually
hair,
hair, isn't it?
and
Yeah.
it looks like it's rattan or something.
This is Vera Miles, who was from The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Magnum Pie, and Psycho, and is the mother of Kelly Miles, who plays Chandar,
Yeah.
the lass in the short skirt. Yes. Who then went on to write the Deep Space Nine Season 2 episode Sanctuary, with the one with the Rice Krispie people.
Yes.
She had a very short acting career and an even shorter writing career,
Dear.
and has quite the wig in this.
Yeah. And then you've got Bad Teeth Man.
That's Larry Ward, who's credited as first council member. Wow.
Right.
He was in Lost in Space, The Outer Limits, 2 episodes of MASH as different characters, and an awful lot of westerns. And yes, those teeth are odd, aren't they?
Yes. So, what's her face? I keep just refer to her as she. Something like Shandar or something her name is.
Chandar!
Yeah. It says that the Harbinger has returned and it's bringing 2 peoples, one of which has got the weaponry they need and one of which is even more barbaric. And then you find out that the Zad Warwich is torturing Coitus. I think that's not quite his name.
Kodos!
He ended up being called Coitus, actually,
okay.
in most of my notes.
So, yeah, well, first of all, we've got Zarina.
Yeah, the war bitch.
Yes, he's played by Julie Newmar, who is most well known for being one of the Catwomen in 60s Batman.
Right.
And returned to do voiceovers for different characters in more modern Batman cartoons. Also, we'll be seeing her in the not-too-distant future in the original series Season 2, Friday's Child. It has some wonderful scenes with McCoy. And she's just so camp and evil. That's what you want from a buck baddie.
And she looks like the evil witch in Snow White. I mean, she's got evil written all over her, isn't she?
And then Kodos is played by Donald Petrie, who's now a successful director of such fare as Miss Congeniality, the Sandra Bullock film, Grumpy Old Men, the Walter Matthau film, My Favourite Martian, which featured Christopher Lloyd, and Turner and Hooch. And also as an actor...
Hey there, where you going? Not exactly knowing. Who says you have to call just one place? Oh, he's going everywhere. DJ McKay and his best friend there.
Oh, 1 BJ count for the episode. Only 1 this one. Boo, boo. Apparently he did this gig to learn what it was like, life was like for actors before then moving on to directing.
Okay.
But it's a nice gender flip that you've got the beautiful but evil princess torturing a bloke for a change.
Yeah.
It's usually the other way around, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then you've got her bloke who I recognised.
Spiro, yes, played by Sid Haig, who will return as a different character in Season 2 of Buck Rogers. He's another original series actor in Return of the Archons, which will be coming up soon after Picard. Another 60s Batman actor, who's in Kill Bill Volume 2. He's the judge in Jackie Brown, which might be why you're recognising him from. Diamonds Are Forever, an awful lot of horror, The A-Team, multiple roles in Mission Impossible and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. And he's described here as being a transmute, which apparently means he can transform matter into different states just by poking it.
Just makes me think of, what's it, with Princess and Kiab?
Oh, Battle of the Planets.
Yeah, transmute.
Yes. Well, transmute back in Cruise Ship to the Stars was somebody who had a split personality, if you remember. Because that was that lass who was both the evil person and the goody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, but you didn't expect continuity from Buck Rogers, did you?
No, not really, no.
So at this point, it's like so many characters being thrown at us, you just know most of them will go nowhere. So.
Yeah. And then the agent and his mate who have found the sphere are going to go and try and nick it from the lab which Buck has gone into just to put up Pendar on the screen, because obviously attacks Buck, and unusually Buck doesn't win.
No, I think this is the one fight in the entire series that Buck doesn't win, for plot purposes, obviously.
Yeah. And so as he's recovering, they say, look, you need to go. Well, they're going to send a drone to go through the vortex, and then Buck said, no, it's got to be a person, because this is first contact. And then Theo says, no, actually, Bucky's right, it has to be a person, not least because if something unexpected happens in there, you're going to need a person to be able to react rather than just something that's been programmed. But then I just couldn't help thinking at the time, why can't Wilma go as well?
Yeah, it's quite.
And also, why is Buck a good representative for First Contact, given he's not actually from their culture?
Yeah.
For First Contact purposes, would it not make more sense for it? If they were just talking about reaction times and stuff, Buck's generally got the best ones. He's been that's happened.
Well, the answer surely is to send him and Wilma.
Yeah, it would make more sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So Hugh and Wilma are like, that's it, we're drawing a line here. We're not tolerating this attack on our lab. So now they're both in red. Is that a dress uniform? Because they're both in the same colour.
There's no consistency over this, where they just change colours.
Okay.
Of course, everybody changes outfit at least 3 or 4 times in this story.
It would make some kind of sense if they were wearing different colours, because it would just suggest that there were different colours available. The fact they're both in the same colour suggests it has a purpose.
There's no rhyme or reason about it all. Yeah. Let's wear the red ones for the scene. Oh, let's wear the white ones for the scene. Oh, really?
So they're going to go to the Draconia to complain in person with a fighter escort. And then you get Hua, who just walks into Buck's apartment without knocking and finds him kissing someone. And although it's like size kissing someone, it's like...
Yeah, the second one in there for this episode as well.
Yeah, it's like, can you not knock?
Yeah.
Also, can Buck not lock the door?
Apparently not. He doesn't care.
Yeah. And he says, I come to see you off. I think you were making preparations. And he's going like, oh, I am. Yeah. And then he goes off with a massive handbag. What's in his massive... Did we ever find out what's in his massive handbag?
Yes, I didn't spot the handbag, I must admit.
It's a big black handbag.
All right.
Anyway, it turns out that Hugh is a little bit jealous of the fact that Buck is going to be the first one to go through this vortex.
Yeah, I mean, this is padding. I mean, so much of the first half of the story is just full of padding to pad it out to 2 episodes, but it's some backstory for Hugh at least, so I'm kind of on board for that. But yeah,
I kind of like that he was the first person to fly through a Stargate, even though it wasn't very far or anything.
It's kind of like he was Buck back in the day, sort of thing. That's kind of nice, but
and I like that he says your family. But then you compare that to Wilma, who spent so fucking long getting tearful.
It's awful, isn't it?
So cringy.
She needs better standards in men. I finally felt like a woman. Really?
Fuck off.
Really?
Oh, you've taught me to love myself, or whatever it was.
Oh, well, yeah, you'd rather do that than love him, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
You taught me the value of a good dildo.
Oh, dear. Yeah, and it's just, I wouldn't mind if they'd stopped it that just as she was tearing up and she didn't say any more. That would have been okay. But the fact that it carries on and not, it's horrible. It's horrible. Then you have Ardala and Kane, and they're like, they're going to go as well. They're going to use the same technology and they're going to make their own disc and everything. And you get this conversation, will they look like us? And Kane's like, yes. And it's like, yes, of course they will look like us, because, that's cheap. And then you get Bucks flying off and you get a swirly thing alert.
Yeah, so he goes through the vortex, and it has to be said, it's like they told somebody to recreate the effects of 2001.
Yeah, that's what my note says, 2001.
They only have 20p to do it, though, so
yeah.
It does not look good, I'm afraid.
No. And then you see a space dragonfly and a space lizard and a space beetle.
Oh, the creatures, yes, which apparently get explained as these were creatures that invaded their planet at some point, but then they trapped them in their shield. But really, they were invaded by, insects and lizards. Was that really threatening?
I don't know.
It's awful.
It's
Absolutely
just really, really terrible. It's like, wow, we're used to cheese, but this is...
I mean, the bubble effect and the gateway effect are good.
Yeah.
But, the creatures are rubbish.
And they just don't make any sense.
No, it was so cheap.
So then Dr. Hewer and Colonel Deering are now on board the Draconia. This time they're both wearing sort of black... Dr. Hewer's wearing a sort of blacky purple colour.
It makes no sense. It's literally, they've made various outfits over the course of the series, which they've used for one episode.
Okay.
But now, for some reason, they've decided, right, let's use all the outfits in one story.
Right.
Because that'll make it look sumptuous or something.
Oh,
and Ardala goes through all her outfits all over again. And
Yeah.
It's like, really?
And so it's like, I'm not having this, so we're at war again. Like, okay.
Oh. I do like the fact he's wearing his medals, though. He's kind of showing off.
Yeah.
He's proud of his medals.
Anyway, off they go through the vortex and they start sort of shaking, and Ardala sort of complains basically about the turbulence. It's like, you weren't fucking invited, bitch, shut up. And then you find out, because Buck and Tweaky have arrived, you find out the Pendarans are pacifists. Like, oh, great. And so that's why they sort of trapped these space insects in their shield thing. Oh, weird. And then you get this thing taken to the council, which is like, oh, how come you're speaking in the same language? Oh, no, we're not really. We're just projecting ourselves. So it's like, okay, if you're just beings of light and you're projecting yourselves, how is the Warwich torturing coitus?
Kodos. Who knows? Makes no sense.
You're like, oh, we've evolved so much, we're now really vulnerable, so now we need you unevolved people to fight our war for us. Right.
It's very Glenn A. Larson, though, because, I mean, Battlestar Galactica was full of pacifists who then got destroyed by the Cylons, so, yeah.
And then, you see Panther Man again. Oh, God. And then you've got the War Witch talking about penetrating for the first time.
Yeah. Penetrating Pendar.
Yeah.
Battlecruiser is a nice model, I thought, although it would have looked a lot better if it had been the right way up.
Yeah.
They film it upside down because apparently the other side got damaged, the top got damaged. They dropped it. But it's like, well, all you need to do is turn they filmed upside down, then just turn the screen round. It would look far better. Because all the diagrams you see on screens and things, it's the right way up. But, yeah. Anyway, apparently it was based on an athletic stadium in Canada. Because, that's what you're going to base your spaceships on, isn't it?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're lining up for a sneak attack.
Yes, you got your Zad fighters, which are a model called the Shark. There's another of those models. Yep.
Baby shark, baby shark, baby shark.
There's another of those models that was designed on spec before the series started. And it's a great design. It's really distinctive. They launched their attack, and initially the Pendaran computers strengthen their shields, and it looks like the Shark fighters fly off. But apparently we later find out that two of them have penetrated.
Fanar.
I put Cheddar down, but I think I mean Chandar. Explains too cheesy. They're worried now that Kodos, their greatest scientist, has been captured. A Zaad strike force of commandos wearing obvious motorcycle helmets attacks the base.
And poppies, because obviously it's remembrance.
Yeah, no, it's not a poppy. It's like they've got insignia that's red with a black bit on it, but yeah. We meet the Pendaran version of an ambiquad, and it's rubbish.
God.
It looks like something out of Ice Pirates. It's that bad. Another comedy robot. Just what we needed. Buck is reunited with Wilbur and Hewer, along with Ardala and Kane, who's wearing his master cosplay for this scene.
Yeah.
They've all refused to fight, but are told they can't leave until they've helped the Pendarans. Buck refuses to go out with Ardala again. Will she ever give up? And then Hewer and Wilmer decide only Buck can persuade Ardala to join them in busting the Zaads, so to speak. Zarina comes on to Kodos again. She's bad as Ardala, isn't she?
Yep.
Kane tries to find out what Buck is there for, but the captain prawns Panther Man way too easily. just as bad as Tiger Man.
Yep.
Buck points out to Ardala that they're stuck. How much do you need my help, she asks. Ew. Clearly, Buck's technique was not quite up to scratch as he reports back to Wilma that Ardala wasn't sure she's going to be helping them after all.
Yeah.
So, dear. An alarm sounds as the motorbike riders have broken into the base's computers. We get a firefight between them and the goodies, which is actually quite good.
Yeah.
And Wilma's quite
It's
cool
got
in it.
the classic cheesy music as well.
And Buck gets blown up quite dramatically. That stunt guy really sort of takes it in the chest. It's excellent. And apparently the shield now has a big hole in it. Ardala turns up to a council meeting in a mighty fine purple outfit, which she may well have worn before. I don't know, that was specially made for this episode. She suggests she talks to Zarina with a bit of woman-to-woman confrontation. For now. Buck tries to shout her down with a better plan, but she's not being dissuaded, bless her. He decides to get on board the Zaads cruiser via a supply ship, which turns out to be Battlestar's ragtag fleet prison ship, repainted bright red. Susie turns up, he's captured. Hooray! Yeah. That lasted longer. Turns out Ardala told Zarina he was coming, and clearly she has the hots of Buck too. Sigh. Oh, and Ardala's dressed in this sort of fantastic blue number.
Yeah.
She tries to negotiate with Zarina, but the War Witch sees straight through her, criticising her for not earning her position of power. So she's not a monarchist then.
No.
Ardala is returned to Buck and gets some hugs.
Yeah, she's like, I can't cope, I was called out on my bullshit.
Yeah. Buck refuses Zarina's advances, who then promises to make him her slave. Oh dear. We get more comic scenes with Tweaky and the Pandaren robot not getting on. Blimey, we needed that. Buck, Kodos, and a little help from Ardala, who mostly just hides under a bed and trips
she does.
guards
She
up.
hides. Yeah.
Organise a jailbreak. Then
And how does Kodos fight if he's been tortured?
Oh, he suddenly becomes Action Man in this scene, doesn't he? Yeah. Ardala gets to take the guards' clothes off, which clearly pleases her.
Yeah.
There's another blaster fight, and the three of them escape in Ardala's shuttle. Zarina orders the guards who allowed it to happen put to death, so she's plenty evil enough.
Yeah.
And they launch their shark attack on Pendar. Shark attack! Buck comes up with the idea of not mending the shield until the battlecruiser tries to come through the gap, which really, that kind of spoils the ending, it has to be said, because then when it actually happens later on, it's like, yep, that was the plan.
Yep. Although it does defy the logic if you hear the plan, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it does. That's true. Yeah. Kane gives a stirring speech, which Ardala interrupts.
Yeah, and I like the fact that she says that she actually doesn't want them to be late for the war.
Yes.
It's like he would just talk forever.
Yeah. But I like the fact that Kane has got a bit of a pompous side to his character.
Yeah,
That's good.
suits him.
We get a space battle, though. Hurrah! Buck approaches Zarina's cruiser, taunting her. She orders Spiro to fire the mega cannon. Oh. No, not the mega cannon. Her ship crashes into the now raised shield. Keeper thanks everybody for helping save them. Wilma is now wearing a drab brown version of her orange number, which looks awful. But
where does she get it from?
I don't know. She obviously brought a wardrobe with her. Buck compliments Ardala on showing a better side to her character. Some hope of the change being permanent. And the story ends with the heroes going home and the sung version of the theme tune.
Oh.
Which you haven't heard since the pilot, and we're happy not to hear again, to be honest. Sprog 2's comment, this is written by a 2-year-old. And they're not wrong. The second half at least has more action, but isn't without padding either.
No.
I suspect this would have made a really good one-parter, but then they wouldn't have had the budget for it. So there's some good effects, some bad effects. It's nice that Hugh and Wilma get to go off base finally.
Yeah,
Since,
they get some action.
And this is Hugh's last story, of course. So yeah, Serena's not a bad baddie, but we don't get to see all that much of her, to be honest.
No.
And it was nice to have Ardala and Kane back, and even a bit of character progression for her, I suppose. A nicer send-off for them, I guess. Costume designer Al Layman was nominated for an Emmy for this. And as well as Ardala's new Fred, Zarina's outfit is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. So it's not a bad season finale. It's just to say, it's a shame it wasn't a one-parter rather than a two-parter, but then it probably wouldn't have looked as good because they wouldn't have had the money, so...
Yeah, or make it a 90-minute movie, and then it would have been less than 2 parts.
Well, that's pretty much what it is, yeah. 2:45, that's 90, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but if it was a 90-minute movie, the actual content would be 60 minutes because of ad breaks.
Oh, I see what you mean. Right. No, so you're saying make it a 60-minute movie, which they then pad out with adverts.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, it's all right. But it's kind of Buck by the numbers yet again. Buck is the only person that can help a civilization, so they kind of trick him into coming. What at least breaks the cycle this time round is that Hua and Wilma get involved, which is good. But yeah, everybody fancies Buck. He goes and rescues somebody. It's a bloke this time rather than a woman, but you know. Yeah. Okay. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
It kind of. But of course, it all changes for season 2. But not for the better, I don't think. Anyway, let's find out what other people thought.
Well, Jeff writes, Season 1 of Buck Rogers went out on a relative high. Our old friends the Draconians are back. There's a big spaceship fight. Exploitation movie legends... Legend.
A legend in their own bath time.
Yeah. Sid Haig. And there's even a classic Batman villain as a special guest star again. It was really fun, if obvious. A spin to have our heroes to team up with the bad guys. Yeah? The story's fairly ambitious too, with an advanced alien race giving the Terrans the means to navigate wormholes and explore a new universe. Well, at least it was far less dumb than electricity being a thing of the past. Yeah. My favourite scene of the entire story is in part 1 with a touching farewell between Buck and Dr. Colin Hua. Tim O'Connor really sells a sense of wistfulness and genuine friendship, and he's really been the unsung hero of this series.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that beautiful scene is followed by the worst thing I have ever seen. Erin Gray's acting was fine, but the words the writers put in her mouth were pure trash. You finally made me feel like a woman. Utter bilge. And a total disservice to the character and even the concept of womanhood. Fortunately, Wilma actually got to participate this time, which helped ease the pain of the earlier transgression. In fact, everybody got something to do. Well, except for poor Panther Man, but he did had a great dash. Julie Newmar was fantastic, playing right up to the edge of full-on pantomime. I especially enjoyed her interaction with and subsequent verbal evisceration of Princess Ardala.
Yes, that was good.
Maybe the bar had been set very low by the mediocre run of recent episodes, but this one was a blast. Thanks again for the great podcast. I'm very intrigued by the tease of the upcoming specials.
Yes. Glad you enjoyed it, Jeff. All right. We also just had a quick message from Doreen to say that she enjoyed the story. Unfortunately, she's not very well at the moment. So
get well soon, Doreen.
Get well soon, Doreen.
What did Drew and Tracy make of this?
Hello, it's feedback for Flight of the War Witch.
And what do we think of that one then?
Well, we was discussing it through in the episode. It was pretty boring.
That was boring-tastic.
It was a bit of an endurance to watch, I think. It just seemed to go on for... I know it's a double episode. Yeah, it was just boring, to be honest.
I really felt like sorry to cut you, but there was a couple of occasions where we were like, oh, look at the effects on this, and, oh, look at that. And I really felt like they'd spent the last of their budget on the effects and not the script writer, because the story, in effect, was just blando.
Yeah, maybe they should have tried to make it just a one-episode one. There just seemed to be so much padding, so much like little cut scenes of stuff going on.
And what was the bit at the beginning where Buck is on the ship with his totty, and then they say they found like a sphere on the planet.
Yeah.
And then when they all come down to investigate it, Deering's making reference...
Yeah, she said something about
a saucer.
Yeah, I don't know.
What the fuck was that about? And we were like, what? Did we miss something there?
No, I don't know. It's just, the witch character wasn't very good. She's another
Snow
female...
White's, evil stepmum.
Another evil female that has got the hots for Buck. It's just...
It was getting a bit like stale, wasn't it? And like that, Spiro's is like evil fingers. He's got the hands. Just what?
Yeah, disappointing end to the series, unfortunately.
So they brought in Panther Man.
Season 1. Panther Man, yeah, we
got rid of Tiger
him.
Man.
Yeah.
We liked the fact that he was wearing a nappy.
He did look like
a black plastic nappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to talk about Serena. She was a strange looking lady, wasn't she?
Yeah,
she really looked like she'd had too much kind of
Botox or something. I wouldn't have
plastic
thought so
surgery.
in like the 80s, but maybe, I don't know.
She really reminded me of like Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah, I can see it,
I
definitely,
just couldn't kind of get off that transfixion.
Yeah, so that's that really, I think. Boring end to the season 1.
Yeah, I was really looking... I mean, at the beginning, we got to talk about this. At the beginning, like, they're really dramatic because, like, you know, Wilma's crying because she thinks she's never going to see back again. And it's like, you know, we was like... But there's a season 2, so we know he doesn't die. But I did say to you at the time, I wonder if, like, they didn't know that there was going to be a season 2, so they were all thinking that this was the end. It was just bizarre. I mean, she was very, you know, you've meant so much to me, and you've changed me. Well, come on.
Yep.
It was just a bit daft, wasn't it? It was just weird, this whole episode. Anyway, I haven't really got much more to say on that.
Me neither.
Shall we leave it there then?
Okie dokie.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I was confused by the saucer as well. At what point did it ever look like a saucer?
It never looked like a saucer. Yeah. Yeah.
Evil fingers.
Yeah, it would have been a lot better as a one-parter.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have had so many effects, undoubtedly. No. They were pushing the boat out by making it a two-parter, but that led to padding, so... Yeah, you win some, you lose some, I guess. But I thought it was all right. I mean, it's certainly, you know, it was very formulaic, wasn't it? So.
Yes, just a tad.
Yes, evil fingers. For now. And we've heard from Perry.
Hello, Args. Perry here to talk about Flight of the War Witch. Now, this wasn't bad. I think they were going for a big season finale thing. The problem is that there has been this marked drop in quality in this latter half of the season. If I'm honest, I actually think if this had been compressed into a single part, it would have been a pretty decent episode. Okay, it still had the issues of, for some reason, Buck now teams up with Tweaky more than he teams up with Wilma. Not going to stop being sore about that. But the gist of them having to go to a whole other dimension to fight off a different foe with some new spaceships wasn't a bad idea, and actually having them team up with the Draconians sort of in an uneasy alliance worked quite well as well. We had Princess Jardala again in all her spangly glory, particularly with weird bikinis, and that when she was dressing up to do her professional I'm going to talk to a leader woman to woman thing, that kind of very odd kind of navy blue, I said it was a bluey purple. I used to have a Renault Clio that colour, but in that kind of weird outfit with the big silver gloves. And again, there was some sort of character for her there in the War Witch saying, no, you just inherited your position, I earned everything, which was quite a nice bit of character work for the two of them, even if she kind of went into kind of tears afterwards, because, Buck, I'm not okay, and am I nice kind of thing. You did feel it when Buck was taken away, he's going, please, anything, torture, whatever, just don't put me back in that cell with those two, because the other guy was kind of moping around as well. I think my issue with it was it dragged so often. There were so many periods which were, like at the start when they found the weird orb with the message, there was so much of just them kind of wondering about this orb and looking at stuff and doing tests and preparing to go, and when Buck was going through kind of the void and all sort of holding it together, keep steady, Iona started talking about that was what he says during sex, so that's tainted that forever. But yeah, I think that was kind of the issue, was it did seem like a single episode story padded out into two parts, so there were an awful lot of points where people just kind of milled about for a bit. Again, the War Witch, did she have to fall in love with Buck or fancy him in any way? It's really getting a bit tedious that literally every woman, good or evil, has a thing for Buck Rogers. He's a nice enough looking chap, but he's definitely not all that. And yeah, I think that was it. I think this one just dragged. There were so many points with them walking around gardens. I think they were trying for the opulence and to have this kind of big impressive looking episode, but I don't think it really worked out. And that robot, good God, the robot with the arms that were literally made of pipes, like as in things that I can see under my sink pipes. I was impressed because for ages I thought those arms don't move at all, but finally at the end of the episode they did, although one arm had to move for the other to move. So it was just, that was a bin with some pipe stuck to it. It's even for this Buck Rogers series, that was a particularly rubbish robot. So yeah, I mean, it's not ending on a damp squib. I think they really tried to make a big bombastic end to the show. And again, there's always some nice bits. Dr. Who is always good. I think genuinely Tim O'Connor, when he was given his thing of wanting to explore, he does kind of slightly wistful really, really well, and I wish we'd see more of that in the series. As a quick kind of review of season 1, now that we're at the end of season 1, and unless that season 2, is that season 2 Disco Got? Is that a hallucination? Are we at the end of Buck Rogers? No? No. Then, I actually thought the first few episodes, probably up until Plot to Kill a City, were usually entertaining. Like, so you'll never call this quality television, but it was fun. And there was a lot of surprise. Again, it was more that Wilma got a lot to do, that it wasn't all about Buck. And then the series seemed to take a left turn around about Space Vampire, maybe a bit before. And all of a sudden, like, the quality, such as it was, dropped off. So, yeah, it's been an interesting revisit for the first season, but still, hopefully they've taken our advice on board and improved things for the second season. So, all that remains to say is do keep up the good work, and I will look forward to looking at the second season with you. No, really, honest, look forward. I don't believe my DVD's cursed at all. But until that time, bye for now.
It's been so long ago since I've seen the second season, I don't remember much of it, but on the upside, you know how this season's been so formulaic? We're following the same patterns for most stories. They do depart from that.
Yeah,
Where
but
they
not
go
in
to
a good
isn't
way.
Not necessarily better, though.
It involves cardigans.
Yeah, well, yeah, for one of the characters. We lose Dr. Hugh. I brace
Yeah.
you for that now. And it doesn't. They don't replace him with somebody better by a long way.
No.
Also,
And I'm not revealing the main spoiler because I just want people who don't know to watch that first episode, and I want to hear all the what the fucks from everybody.
Right, yes. Yes, if we're thinking of the same thing.
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah, character.
Yeah.
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 But it's mercifully short in the first season, so you grit your teeth and get through it, and take your pain.
I don't know. If you've had alcohol, I remember enjoying quite a bit of it, but I think laughing at it, not with it.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Which, to be fair, has been a lot of this season as well.
Yeah.
So yes, your plumbing robot did indeed suck, and
yes,
yeah. Generally, when they've managed cheese, it's been entertaining. I did the sort of episodes at springtime. I did like Space Vampire. I know some people didn't, but I thought that was wonderfully.
I like the disco one.
The disco one was possibly the high, despite the fact it was quite late in the run. That was quite a high.
That
point.
was a good one, and the one with the nonsensical dancing with the podiums and things. That was quite early on.
Yes, but I couldn't tell you which episode that is, though. I mean, that was just a scene that sticks in the mind rather than
true.
Than
I seem to remember enjoying Plot to Kill a City.
Yeah, no, that's a good one because it's got some interesting characters in it that are well played. One's kind of taking it seriously, but it kind of works. I think that's the episode that sticks in my mind from season 1 the most, is just because that sort of works as a piece of sci-fi. But yeah, Space Rockers is probably actually my favourite now. Oh dear.
I would think so, and I think the worst one for me was probably the really shit New Year's episode with Gary Coleman.
That was the clip show. Was that the clip show one? Yes, that was the clip show one, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that was the worst. But then clip show ones always are, let's face it. Yeah. Okay. I don't think season 2's long enough for a clip show, at least. So we've got that. It's got that going for it.
Yeah.
But yes, we now take not quite a complete break for a couple of months, but because we're covering Picard over on our other Borgcast podcast, we don't have time, because that's a weekly thing, to be doing Galactica as well. But we do hope to have a couple of specials up, so there'll be at least something dropping at least once a month for the next 2 months. But no teasers as to what that's going to be. No. And there will be the traditional Easter special, which will be on this feed as well this time round. The Christmas one was on the Trek one, but you could probably work out what film we're covering that if you listen to the Christmas special. And then, we in a couple of months' time, we start on season 2 of Rogers.
Whatever the episode itself is like, A, I can't wait to see Sprog 2's face. And B, I am just so looking forward to people's feedback on that first episode. Has Doreen got season 2?
I can't remember if they have or not. And I'm not sure. I think we ought to be merciful and not send a season 2 if she hasn't got it.
Okay.
I think that's too mean.
Okay, fair enough.
Time of the Hawk.
Yeah.
And that might be a double length one as well, but we'll cover it all, all as
We'll
one.
cover it in one, whatever. Yeah. You don't want to drag that out.
Thank you to everybody who's joined us on this voyage.
Yes!
Special thank you to those who fed back as well. It's always great to hear of people's views. There's been quite a spectrum, I think it's fair to say. At the one end, we've had Drew and Tracy, I think, and at the other, I think Jeff's been the most positive throughout, actually.
I think so.
But Pineman's mostly enjoyed it as well, I think.
Yeah.
And Sampo and Yona of how this translates to other shores is an interesting one, isn't it? So yeah.
Oh, I don't know whether Sampo and Yona have got access to season 2.
Yeah, I don't know. Hope they do. I do hope they do, because I'd be interested to see what they make of that as well.
Yes.
And Doreen, of course, has enjoyed some and not others, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, yeah.
Anyway, whether you enjoyed it or not, hopefully you enjoyed the ride listening to our Daft podcast.
Yes,
and
it's very silly.
We'll be with you in a few weeks' time for a little special something.
Yes.
Cheerio, bye.
Bye. The voiceover for Borg Rogers was provided by Michael David Sims from Earth2.net.
The Buck Rogers theme was played by Drew Barker. All other music is used for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
The artwork for this podcast was created by Andy Palastides.
To contact us, send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Contact us via Twitter at rev_org or Borgcastammo, #Borgcast.
Visit our website at galactica.libsyn.com
or view images relating to our cast on our Tumblr site, borgcast.tumblr.com.
You can join our Facebook page. And there's also a Spotify playlist with all our play-out tunes on it.
Shut it down!
Why don't you make like a fuse and blow?